So the next most complicated thing we can do, I suppose, is to do what I was just talking about in the last installment, where we want to take our switch block here, which is this one here, and combine it with a loop. Now, this is going to look kind of complicated at first, but then I'll explain what some of this does in a moment. So I want you to drag one of these loop blocks, all right, and drag it onto the screen here. All right, and remember that even though it's a big block and stuff, you can just, if you don't want it, you can ditch it by dragging it down here. If you want one, just bring it up, no big deal. And then I want you to take sorry, did I call that a switch? It's a loop block. I want you to take the switch block here and pick it up, and we're going to put it inside the loop now. All right, and it's going to give us this big monstrosity looking thing. And we're just going to hook up our end program and our start program here. And just to center it on the screen, I'm just going to select the whole thing and move it like this. Okay. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky, all right? But I want you to pay close attention, because this is one of these situations where we're going to see a pattern like this occur lots and lots during the competition, all right? So again, I have this switch block here inside a big loop. All right. So if you remember from the last video I did, that when the bump sensor was pressed, the robot moved backwards one rotation, and when it wasn't pressed, it moves forwards one rotation, right? Well, in the end, it helps us, but it doesn't really allow us to do really basic actions like putting the robot on the floor, executing the program, have it move forwards a whole bunch of times till it reaches an object, bump it, and then back up again. All right? So, in a sense, we kind of have to play around with this a little bit. All right? Because we need this switch block here to execute a whole bunch of times. And that's what the loop does. So let me explain how this works. I start my program, and now we enter the loop. All right? And remember what the loop does. It exercises or executes whatever's inside the loop, and then when we're done, it just keeps going back again. All right? So the idea here is I have my loop set to unlimited. That's the, if you know any math and stuff, that's the infinity symbol. And what happens is that I enter my loop, I execute this block, and then I go back and I loop back to this point again. And then I loop back to this point again. I execute the block, I loop back in again. So my robot is not being touched at the moment. My bump sensor is on 0. And if you remember, 0 is what we're calling false, or X in this case. And I enter my program, I enter the loop, and I read my bump sensor. And because it's false, I go down here, and this means move forwards. All right, I finish my switch block, and I'm at the end of the loop, which means I go back to the beginning again, and I read my sensor. That's right here. It's still reading 0. That means I go to the bottom part where it says X, because X and 0 are the same. Check mark is 1. And I go back, and I go back up to my loop again, and I keep going through this. All right? And so the robot keeps moving forwards. Now, the moment I touch the bump sensor and it reads 1, all of a sudden the program starts going backwards, because now when the bump sensor reads 1, that means you're bumping something. It goes to check mark instead of X this time. 1 means check mark, 0 means X. So now we go through the top part of the program, and the robot backs up. All right? So we're going to try this now, and what I want you to do is take your basic robot here that you've gone and built, and we're going to download the program, like that, and I want you to play with this. So what you're going to do is you're going to start the program, and as you're starting the program, you're going to hear the little chime and stuff, and then the robot is automatically going to start going forwards because the bump sensor isn't pressed. And what I want you to do is let it go forwards a little bit, press the bump sensor, and see what happens. And then see whether or not you can follow the execution of the program. By execution, I mean like how the program runs. So basically, like when the bump sensor isn't pressed, we go through this bottom part here. When the bump sensor is being pressed, we go through the top part. All right, so let's execute the program. And right now, I'm going to try and speak over the robot here. The robot is moving forwards, and as you can see, it's using this block. Now, you see the little symbol here? There's nothing happening here, and there's like these lines going. That means that we're running through the bottom part of the block here. All right? Now, watch what happens when I press the bump sensor, and then my loop, or my switch statement becomes true. Now the robot's moving backwards, and program execution is going through the loop, and now it's going through the top part of the switch. And I'm going to let go, and it's now through the bottom part, because now the bump sensor reads 0. All right? And we get to switch direction. So this is kind of cool. So what I think I'd like you to do is to take this program and try to see whether or not you can get your robot to collide with something. All right. The only problem you're going to find. Sorry, I'm going to turn this off here. Come on. Oh wait, we're not going to be able to do that right here. So I'm going to just. There we go. Whew, that was a lot of noise. What we're going to do here is try to get your robot to move along forwards on the floor and have it collide with an object like a table leg or something like that, something that allows the bump sensor to be pressed, and then tell me whether or not the robot backs up, and then see whether or not you can explain what just happened there. At the moment, I don't have my website set up for direct questions or anything else. You can always just leave me a comment. I'll try to keep up on the comments, even though I'm a pretty busy guy, as we all are. I'll try and figure that out. But if you have questions and you know how to get a hold of me, then have your teacher email me. If not, then you can leave a comment about the videos, and I'll try to get back to you. All right, so we'll sign off here, and I'll see you in the next installment.